I am making a dinosaur deck profile. I had actually recently won my locals with this deck, and overall, I really like how it works, and I really like the new cards from Maze of Millennia, which I know is only two cards technically, but I honestly think they add a lot to the deck. Starting off with the monsters, I play two copies of Animadorned Archosaur. Animadorned Archosaur has the effect that when it's summoned, you can destroy a dinosaur monster from your hand or field other than itself, to then add an evolution pill from your deck to your hand. And it being a level 1 also helps with your link plays. Then I play three copies of Baby Ceratosaurus. Baby Ceratosaurus has the effect that when it's destroyed, you can special summon a level 4 or lower dinosaur from your deck. And I also play three copies of Petite Pteranodon. Petite Pteranodon just has the effect that when it's destroyed, you can special summon a level 4 or higher dinosaur from your deck. The babies I honestly think are important to the deck just because they aren't once per turn, and just being able to destroy a baby lets you be able to extend even further. The only downside of this deck is that it will always play into Nibiru, so I always have to try to think about what my fifth summon's going to be, just because Nibiru is a thing. And then I also play one copy of Kaidotera. Kaidotera has the effect that if your opponent controls two or more monsters that aren't wind, then this card cannot be targeted for attacks. Or as I believe that's how it works. But honestly, that effect is not what matters. What matters with it is its effect of once per turn, you can add a polymerization from your deck to your hand, and this card is banished. Then you can special summon it, and then you can add a polymerization that is in your graveyard to your hand. So this card just enables fusion plays, which I actually really like. Then I also play two copies of Scrap Raptor and one copy of Scrap Chimera. Scrap Raptor has the effect that once per turn you can target one monster you control and destroy it. And then Scrap Raptor is destroyed, you can add a Scrap monster from your deck to your hand, and then you can immediately gain an additional normal summon. And Scrap Chimera has the effect that when it's summoned, you can target a Scrap monster in your graveyard, except for Scrap Chimera, and special summon it. And then Scrap Chimera cannot be used for a synchro summon of non-Scrap monsters, I believe it was. Except for the synchro summon of Scrap monster and all others. But however, if summoning the Scrap Chimera, you're always going to be linking it off for something like Scrap Dragon or Scrap Wyvern. Or you're just going to be banishing it from your hand off a double evolution pill. Next, I play three copies of Soul Eating Oviraptor. Soul Eating Oviraptor is still one of the best monsters in this deck, as when it is normal summoned, you can take a dinosaur from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to grave. And then once per turn, you can target one other dinosaur on the field to then special summon, destroy it, and then if you do, special summon a dinosaur from your graveyard. I believe its targeted monster has to be a level 4 or lower. So yeah. And then I also play one copy of Miscellaneousaurus. If Miscellaneousaurus ever gets put to 3, or more than 1, honestly, this deck will be it will be meta relevant, I believe, as I believe right now it's just Rogue. One copy of Megalo Smasher X just gets a level 4 normal, and one copy of Giant Rex. Miscellaneous has the effect that you can discard it so that during that main phase, your dinosaurs become unaffected by your opponent's monster effect, or my opponent's become unaffected by your opponent's cards, which Miscellaneous is kind of the main answer this deck has to cards like Nibiru, as if your opponent activates Nibiru, you can chain Miscellaneous if it's in the main phase, to then make it so that your dinosaurs are unaffected, so then the only things Nibiru will tribute are non-dinosaur monsters. And then Miscellaneous has another effect, which is I honestly think is also really good, as you can banish it and any other any number of dinosaur monsters in your graveyard to special summon any number or any number to special summon a dinosaur that's the same level as the number of dinosaurs banished. So if you banish only Miscellaneous, then you special summon level 1. Banish Miscellaneous and a baby, you can summon another baby from deck. And then Giant Rex has the effect that when it's banished, you can special summon it, and then it gains 200 attack for the total number of banished dinosaurs that you currently have. And then Giant Rex cannot attack directly. Next, I play 3 copies of Xeno Meteorus. Xeno Meteorus has the effect that if a card on the field was destroyed, or if a card or cards are destroyed, you can special summon this card from your hand. And then once per turn, you can destroy one other dinosaur from your hand or face-up field. So then special summon a normal dinosaur from your deck. And however, if you use this effect, then you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, unless it is a dinosaur, dragon, sea serpent, or worm. Then I play 1 copy of Frostosaurus, just because it's a level 6 normal, that you can summon off of Xeno Meteorus. Then I play 2 copies of Dino Wrestler Pinkertops. Pinkertops is 2 of in this deck just because you can special summon it off of Petite Pteranodon. And it's still a really good monster as you can special summon it. If your opponent has more monsters than you do, you can special summon it from your hand. And then once per turn, you contribute a Dino Wrestler monster. Target 1 card your opponent controls. And if you do, destroy it. And then you can only use that effect of Dino Wrestler Pinkertops once per turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. Ultimate Conductor Tyranno is the boss monster of this deck. As it cannot be normal summon or set, it must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing 2 dinosaurs from your graveyard, which isn't at all hard to do. However, most of the time you will be summoning this off of your double evolution pill. But Ultimate Conductor Tyranno has the effects of it can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. If it attacks an opponent's monster that's in defense mode, you can send it to the grave and it to then inflict 1,000 damage. And then Ultimate Conductor Tyranno's final effect is once per turn, during either player's turn as a quick effect, you can destroy a monster from your hand or field, and if you do, flip all opponent's monsters face down. Which most of the time you're going to have it destroy a baby on the opponent's turn, and then you'll summon an Oviraptor, and Oviraptor will get you an extender. But that's it for the monsters. For the spells, I play 1 copy of Polymerization. That just lets you fusion summon. Next, I play 2 copies of can I remember if it's double or ultimate? Okay, lets you play 2 copies of Double Evolution Pill. This card lets you banish a dinosaur and a non-dinosaur from your hand or graveyard to then special summon a level 7 or higher dinosaur from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. And you can only activate 1 double evolution pill per turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Lost World. Lost World, I've noticed, is actually a pseudo-win condition against Mikonko, as when a dinosaur is summoned, your opponent gets a Jura Egg token, and while your opponent controls a token, they cannot target monsters on the field except the token, which kind of turns off the equip mechanic, which kind of makes the Mikonko bad. And then Lost World also makes all non-dinosaurs lose 500 attack and defense. And its final effect is if a normal monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy 1 level 4 lower dinosaur in your deck instead. Which most of the time you're going to have it destroy a baby in deck. Speaking of destroying a baby, I also play 3 copies of Ground Xeno. Ground Xeno, as far as I can tell, is the only actual expensive card in this deck. As that technically you don't have to play Ground Xeno, but I really like it. And I just happen to end up getting 3. But that's one upside of dinosaurs. Other than this 1 card, almost everything is really cheap. I say almost because the last part just depends on all you want in your extra deck. But Ground Xeno has the effect that you can you get to add a dinosaur tuner or a normal dinosaur monster from your deck to your hand, and then you can destroy one card, and then you destroy one card in your hand. Which, if you see this card plus either Baby Ceratosaurus or Petite Pteranodon, is actually a full combo by itself. And then Ground Xeno has the grave effect if you can banish it to then fusion summon a dinosaur monster. Which this deck plays 3 fusion monsters, though I want to play 4. And I'll go over that when I get to it. And to finish off the spells, I play 3 copies of Fossil Dig. Fossil Dig just lets you add a level 6 or lower dinosaur from your deck to your hand. And for the traps, I play 3 copies of Solemn Judgment, as this is pretty much your only answer to cards like Dark Ruler No More. Because Dark Ruler No More is still a win button against the dinosaur deck. But this just lets you make so that when your opponent activates a spell or trap or monster effect, or when your opponent activates a spell or trap or would summon a monster, you pay half your life points to negate that card, and if you do, destroy it. And that is it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. The main thing with the extra deck I want to add is Guardian Chimera, but I couldn't find my Guardian Chimera, so I just played with what I had. And there is one card I will go over what I would replace with a Guardian Chimera. But for links, I play 1 copy of Link Karibo. That's just because it requires a level 1. 1 copy of Secure Gardena. Usually these 2 are used after you use Animadorn Argosaur's effect, as you'll summon Animadorn, use its effect to destroy something to add double evolution pill. Then you'll link off Animadorn for Link Karibo, and then you'll link off Link Karibo for your copy of Secure Gardena. Which, this just gives you a dinosaur and a non-dinosaur for your double evolution pill. And then Secure Gardena makes so that the first time you would take damage, what was it? As a special summon, you take no effect damage for the rest of the turn. Once per turn, you battle or effect damage. You take no damage. Okay. But it has the effect that when it's link summoned, you can't take any effect damage for the rest of the turn. And then once per turn, if you would take damage, you don't. Which usually that's gonna be the first time you would take damage, but Secure Gardena really doesn't matter because it puts Link Karibo on the grave. And then I play 1 copy of Scrap Wyvern. Scrap Wyvern has the effect that, let's see, you always forget. You can target a scrap monster in your graveyard, special summon it, then destroy 1 card you control. And then if a scrap monster is destroyed, you can special summon a scrap monster from your deck, and then destroy 1 card you control. Which normally, what you would do is you would link summon it by using Scrap Raptor. Bring back a Scrap Raptor, then destroy the Raptor. And then you would special summon your Scrap Chimera, and then you would destroy the Wyvern. I don't remember how it goes specifically. I just remember you would destroy the Scrap Wyvern for Savage Dragon plays. However, I'm kind of tempted to take out the Scrap. I'm tempted to take out Scrap Chimera and Scrap Wyvern, just so I can play a couple of other cards, such as the Guardian Chimera, for example. And then for fusions, I play 1 copy of Transcendosaurus Gigantosaurus and 2 copies of Horntosaurus. Transcendosaurus Gigantosaurus has the effect that when it's fusion summoned, you can target a dinosaur in your grave for return to your hand. And if this card is destroyed, you can shuffle a normal dinosaur in your graveyard back into the deck to then special summon this card. And then, if it is special summoned from the graveyard, you can then destroy 1 card your opponent controls and 1 card that's either in your hand or face up field. Which, normally what you do is, you would have this with Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. You'll have Tyranno destroy this during your opponent's turn, and then its effect will trigger, letting you return a baby to your hand to then destroy the baby and one card your opponent controls. And then the baby will summon another thing. And then Hornsaurus has the effect that when it's during the turn it's special summoned, it can attack directly, which doesn't really matter. The main thing that matters is that it has the effect that when it's fusion summoned, you can take a field spell from your deck and place it face up in your spell and trap zone. Or spell trap zone. You place it in your field zone. And then its final effect is once per turn, you can have an additional normal summon of a dinosaur or dragon. And I'm just going to say it now. I'm fairly certain that this card's going to get hit on the ban list because of Dragon Link. And then Hornsaurus, honestly, to say that because of how Hornsaurus requires Kaitotera and a dinosaur or dragon monster. And it's the fact that it works with dragons that I'm already calling that it's going to get hit on the ban list at some point because of Dragon Link. And then moving on to the Synchros, I play one copy of Cyframe Lord Omega, one copy of Draco Berserker the Tenyi, and one copy of Borload Savage Dragon. Cyframe Lord Omega has the effect that during your opponent's standby phase, you can activate its effect to put a banished card back in its owner's graveyard. During your opponent's main phase, you can activate its effect to banish it and a random card from your opponent's hand until your next standby phase. And then its final effect is if this card's in the graveyard, you can activate its effect to shuffle it and one other card in your graveyard back into your deck. And then Draco Berserker the Tenyi has the effect that if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish that monster. And then if Draco Berserker destroys the monster, an effect monster by battle, you can banish that monster. And then if you do, this card gains that monster's attack, and it can make a second attack during that turn. And then Savage Dragon has the effect that when it's special summoned, you can target a Link monster in your graveyard, equip it with that card, and if you do, it gains Boral counters equal to that Link monster's Link rating, as well as half of the equipped monster's attack. And then, once per turn, Savage Dragon can remove a Savage counter, or a Boral counter, I believe it's called, to then negate an opponent's activated card. I think it's effect. Let's see. Yeah, so then negate an opponent's activated card or effect. So, like that. And finally, for the Synchros, I play one copy of Baron de Fleur. Baron just has the effect that while it's faced up on the field, it can... and when your opponent activates a card or effect, it can negate the activation if you do destroy that card. That effect can only be used once while it's face up on the field. And then once per turn, you can target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. And during your standby phase, you can target one level 9 or lower monster in your graveyard. Return those cards to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon that target. And then I also play one copy of Abyss Dweller. Abyss Dweller is honestly the first thing I would take out of this deck for Guardian Chimera, just because Dweller, honestly, I don't think was as good as I was hoping it was going to be today, since the Horus cards do not activate the summon themselves like I initially thought, which, honestly, I don't even think that mattered. But because of that, I am honestly going to probably take out Abyss Dweller from my extra deck and replace it with Guardian Chimera, just because polymerization is used in the deck. Then next, I play one copy of Evil Tsar Dolka. Evil Tsar Dolka has the effect that once per chain, you can or as I believe it's once per chain. No, it's not. But Dolka has the effect that when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can detach one material from this card, and if you do, negate that effect and destroy it. And that is not once per turn. It's not even once per chain. So Dolka has there's a 2-time monster negate and destroy. And to finish off the extra deck, I play the one copy of Evil Tsar Logia and 2 copies of Evil Tsar Lars. Logia has the effect that once per turn, when your opponent would summon a monster or activate a spell or trap card, you can remove 2 materials from this card, and if you do, just negate the summon or activation and destroy that card. And then Lars has the effect that if both of its materials are dinosaur, as I think it has to be dinosaur. Let's see. Okay, if both its material are reptile or dinosaur, then you only have to detach one material that activates effect. Where if your opponent activates a card or effect, you can detach 2 materials from it. Target one card your opponent controls and negates effects for the rest of the turn. And that is it for my dinosaur deck profile. Like I said, the first thing I would take out for Guardian Chimera would be Abyss Dweller. But another option I would think of would be Scrap Dragon and Warlord Savage Dragon. Though I'd rather take out the Abyss Dweller first. But if you have any ideas of decks like to see face each other, ways I can improve the deck, or decks like to see be made in the future, feel free to comment down below. Thank you for watching.